Hello, and welcome to Career Management's special video broadcast on a topic that's been popular recently: AI's reshaping of hiring processes and the insurance implications. I'm your host, Elizabeth Blosfield, Deputy Editor for Career Management. In a previous episode of Between the Lines, Career Management's video series where we explore the most pressing topics in insurance, we connected with experts to discuss the use of AI in HR, from hiring to employee reviews. Now we're revisiting this topic with a specific focus on Florida, where the issue hits close to home. NBC Miami reported in February that around 65% of Florida job candidates are using AI at some point in the application process. This is according to the 2025 Market Trend Report from recruitment firm Career Group Companies. However, Florida hiring managers are still cautious. More than half, 51%, say they dismiss resumes created by AI. That's according to a Resume.io survey of 3,000 managers. In this broadcast, we'll examine how the Sunshine State is navigating the fine line between tech-powered hiring and accountability, and what this means for job seekers and hiring managers alike. Imagine applying for a job only to have an AI bot review your resume instead of a real person. This isn't a future scenario or science fiction. This is happening right now. AI-driven systems are increasingly taking over the hiring process. Mega HR, a company based in Florida, earlier this year in January launched Megan, an AI-powered recruiting assistant. A Mega HR press release reported that Megan is capable of automating up to 78% of frontline hiring tasks, everything from job postings and outreach to coordinating interviews and making offers. Megan continuously self-trains with the aim of creating a more transparent and efficient hiring process. Mega HR founder and CEO Darren Bounds said in the press release, "Megan isn't just another AI agent. She's a paradigm shift," adding that Mega HR customers are already spending less time on the product and more time in Slack conversing with Megan to finalize hiring decisions. But with this paradigm shift comes growing risks. In a competitive job market, many are depending on automated systems to secure new opportunities. While the Mega HR press release emphasizes that Megan's technology maintains a human in the loop to ensure fairness and transparency, what happens when other systems are inherently biased? How many qualified candidates could be passed over because of algorithms designed for efficiency, with no human to check their work? Holly Griffin Goodman, a board-certified labor and employment attorney based in Palm Beach County, Florida, has been vocal about the implications of AI in hiring. In an interview with Career Management, she discussed how AI tools, if not properly managed, can perpetuate existing bias.
There's probably two time points when businesses should be looking at this, and that is at the input stage and then at the output stage. And so at the input stage, I would suggest that it not just be one person who is inputting the rules and the training for the AI. Businesses should be workshopping some of these. If there's going to be a hard and fast rule, an exclusion rule for candidates in a recruiting model, you want to make sure that you have vetted that and talked about it with other people who might have different perspectives, because somebody might stop and say, hey, wait a minute, that rule could negatively impact women who have recently had children, or negatively impact someone with a disability who had to take time off of work because they were battling cancer or have some other medical condition. And so I think that the more people you have kind of brainstorming and helping to input that data or those data points and those exclusions and those rules to train the AI, the better off you'll be, because then it's more likely that someone else will be able to speak up and say, wait a minute, this might have an unintended consequence. The other side of it is going to be on the output side, and that's going to be testing for disparate impact. And there are whole statistical analysis models that businesses can go through to determine whether or not there is a disparate impact that are probably too complex to talk through right here and now. But there are statistical analyses that'll show whether or not there is a disproportionate impact on one demographic over another. And so I do recommend, especially when you have exclusion rules in some of these decision points, that businesses take a look and see if you had 200 applicants and 50 of them were eliminated by this exclusion rule, let's take a look at those 50 candidates and see whether there's any evidence that we're disproportionately impacting one particular group or another.
The use of AI by hiring managers is also prompting worry among applicants who fear being filtered out before human eyes see their resumes. This raises a crucial question for job seekers: how to stand out when the gatekeepers are algorithms. Goodman emphasized the importance of transparency and accountability in AI systems, especially in industries like insurance, where demographic data can inadvertently influence hiring decisions.
What's really important is for businesses to be paying attention to how agencies are currently enforcing existing laws. So the FTC has had some enforcement actions about data privacy issues and the use of AI. The EEOC is looking at disparate impact of AI-generated data points from recruitment issues to using AI in performance evaluations and the potential bias that could be coming out of the use of AI from that perspective as well. So we should continue to watch as our federal agencies put out guidance, because whether or not Congress acts this year remains to be seen, or even in the coming years. But it's really the agencies that are pushing forward on ways to expand existing regulations to cover AI.
According to a June 22nd New York Times report, there's another side of the coin. Hiring teams across the US are now grappling with an avalanche of resumes increasingly generated by AI, creating headaches for recruiters. Job seekers are increasingly leaning on generative AI tools and automated resume builders to draft tailored cover letters and resumes, hoping to keep up in a hiring landscape dominated by algorithms. This surge has led some recruiters to question the authenticity of submissions, while others warn that entire applicant pools are becoming homogenized with generic, low-effort resumes. This dynamic has sparked a kind of AI arms race in the hiring process, as job candidates use AI to craft resumes, and employers use AI to screen them.
What's really important here is that all of the laws, the existing laws that deal with employment matters, that deal with even privacy outside of the HR space, those laws, those regulations are still going to apply, even in the AI use case. I had a very interesting conversation with an EEOC commissioner on my own podcast, where we talked about how the HR existing laws, the Title VIIs, the anti-discrimination laws, how they are being used by the EEOC to apply to AI decision-making in HR, even though many of these laws were passed in the 1960s. They were passed long before we ever even thought about something like artificial intelligence, and the government is still finding ways to apply those to the use of AI. And one thing that's really important, I think, outside of just looking at how your own business is using AI, and that's something that I think insurance companies should also be aware of, is that a business can be liable for violations of these laws, for the data laws, for the HR laws, even if the artificial intelligence that they're using isn't their own. So if they have a third-party vendor that they have outsourced a decision point to, or that they have outsourced data analysis to, and that third-party vendor is violating some of these regulations or laws, or is potentially using data in a violation of a way that the current regulators are saying would violate our data privacy laws, then that business who hired that vendor can also still be liable. So it's really important to make sure that the business is aware of that third-party connection too, and is really vetting kind of some of the policies and the use practices of third-party vendors.
As we can see, Florida's job market and the insurance sector are already involved in this AI arms race. On one side, candidates are turning to AI for an edge in getting noticed. On the other, companies are deploying advanced AI tools to streamline hiring, but not without raising tough questions about fairness, bias, and the true meaning of human in human resources. As both sides double down on technology, the challenges for employers, regulators, and job seekers is finding the balance between innovation and accountability. One thing is clear: whether applying for a job, hiring for one, or shaping policy, the algorithms are already here, and navigating them wisely is no longer optional. It's essential.